And welcome back to a Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I'm bringing you the Thursday night preview between the Chiefs and the Broncos here, where I'll go over the starts, sits, and sleepers that I like from this game. Before we jump into that content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you get all the video drops and notifications as we put them out there onto YouTube. Again, Saturday we are going to be doing, as usual, our weekly full NFL slate for the weekend where we do start, sits, and sleepers there. So don't forget to keep an eye out for that Saturday morning and all the shorts that we do along the way throughout the week. Let's not waste any time and get into the meat of it today. We'll start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. I've got Pat Mahomes as a start here, and you're pretty much going to be starting him every single week. It's going to be tough not to because the guy is a magician at the position. Just to back it up with some stats, the Denver Broncos are giving up about 280 yards per game to the quarterback position and giving up roughly 2.5 passing touchdowns a game position. You can round that up or down however you want to look into that. I'd like to round it up, but especially on a short week, usually the defenses have a tougher time. However, I will say he does not have premier passers this season or pass catchers this season outside of Travis Kelce, and it's been kind of a mixed bag. So to me, he's not yet hit stride for the season, and I expect it to come soon, and this could be the spark that this team needs this game against Denver to really showcase what he can do, and the receiving room kind of get the gusto and confidence that they need in that locker room. Running back-wise, Isaiah Pacheco is a start for me, a big-time start for me this week because the Denver Broncos are averaging 164 yards a game to the running back positions. That is inflated by the 350-plus yards that were gained by the Miami Dolphins, but let's not also forget the fact that they did hold Josh Jacobs week 1 as well. It kind of evens out a little bit, I guess you could say, but let's look at the recent game they played against the Jets. 177 yards to Breece Hall, 208 total to the running back room. Pacheco is going to run the ball hard. He's going to hit the holes hard, and if they're not there, he bounces it outside really well. Good agility and great acceleration. I like him here, and I like them leaning on the run, especially with their top pass catcher, Travis Kelce, with an ankle injury. Let's get into that. Kelce and his ankle injury, I have him as a start because it's looking like he's going to trend in the right direction as playing this weekend, or this tomorrow night actually, or tonight while this video is being released. The one thing you got to worry about him is re-injury, obviously, because anybody with an ankle injury of that sort trying to rush back and play a game, you can easily re-injure that. So he can injure it in the first play of the game, and then he's out. He could injure it on the last play of the game. He may not injure it at all. In fact, he may play the whole game. And he could also play the whole game on a snap count and on limited types of plays and opportunities. That's the one thing you got to be a little weary about when you play a guy with an injury. But it is Travis Kelce. The guy's tough as nails. He's going to play through it. And tight ends against the Broncos, there's been roughly about 63 yards per game. They've had 3 touchdowns to the tight end position in the past 5 weeks. 2 of them went to Cole Kmet against the Bears, and then one of them was to Logan Thomas from Washington. Outside of that, wide receiver-wise, I don't love anybody here. Obviously, you see we're sitting Jerick McKinnon as that receiving back type. He's just not getting the looks and the snaps that I'm liking. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, not as starts or sleepers here. Rashee Rice is the sleeper that we have here. His name has come up a bunch of times. You've seen the experts talk about him as being a pickup in terms of waiver wires and stashable players. Well, to me, he has an opportunity this week to kind of bust out and have his big game here. He has gotten the opportunities. His targets per route run are fantastic. It's just he's been dropping the ball a lot more than I like to see, but so has his entire team. I think he's had a high percentage of a drop rate this season, pretty high up there in the NFL, and his teammate Kadarius Toney's right there with him. MVS, you want this guy to be the leader in the wide receiver room, and he probably is in the locker room, but he's not on the field. And so give me a little Rashee Rice if you are in a situation with a bye week because you've got George Pickens, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, any combination of those guys, and the only other guy you have on your bench is Rashee Rice, and you need to play somebody in your flex position, he's the one that I would try and do out of this game. Obviously, I'm not confident with it, but I have more of a sleeper in the fact that don't be surprised if he comes out of this game with the highest yards for the receivers here and probably a score as well. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is a must-start this week against the Denver Broncos. There have been few offenses that have turned the ball over as much as the Broncos, and obviously they're not the level the Patriots are in terms of scoring. However, the thing about the Kansas City Chiefs defense is they have not given up more than 23 fantasy points to a quarterback in 6-point touchdown leagues, and that was last week to Kirk Cousins, who only threw for 280 yards, a guy who is pretty much leading the league in touchdowns and high up there in yardage. Kept them at 284, under 300. Kept them only to 2 touchdown passes. In fact, only 2 quarterbacks have had 2 touchdown passes against them. That was Zach Wilson and Kirk Cousins in the past 2 weeks. Running backs against the Chiefs. Only since week 1, there hasn't been a rushing touchdown. That was David Montgomery, and he only had 13 fantasy points. The next person to go over 10 or at or over 10 fantasy points was Alexander Mattison last week, and that was from a receiving touchdown in that game from Kirk Cousins. So I like the Chiefs' rush defense here. They're going to make Denver pass, and when you make Russell Wilson pass, there's problems. Russell Wilson also has been sacked a ton here. And in terms of wide receivers, we're looking at Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, whoever they decide is going to be the number one there. Number ones have been pretty much held to under 60 yards a game. The number 2 wide receivers are the ones that fared a little bit better. So keep an eye out on that. But to me, they have an opportunity to shut down the receiver they want to shut down on a per-play basis, and then on top of that, shut down the running game. So it could be a tough night for the Denver Broncos. Start the Chiefs. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos here. I think the Denver Broncos are all sits for me, except for Jaleel McLaughlin, who's riding hot. You got to ride the hot hands, and I have a sleeper with Marvin Mims. Again, kind of like Rashee Rice. He may not be somebody you put into your lineup this week. I have him as a sleeper, as an opportunity to say, hey, grab him, stash him. Don't be surprised if he has a big game this week, and let's move on and feel more comfortable that he's going to get more targets, more opportunities. But you're going to sit Russell Wilson here. Like I said, no quarterback has really scored over 23 points, and it's only been the past 2 weeks. I don't know if it was a fluke against Kansas City with the Zach Wilson day that they had, because he didn't look the same last week against the Broncos. But Kirk Cousins, and the firepower he had there, they held him in check. And I think Russell Wilson can be held in check here too. His legs help him out a little bit. Still don't love it. I think there's better options out there. Javonte Williams is healthy. He's not on the injury report. He's coming back. Again, running backs have been held by this team. 1 rushing touchdown all season to the running back position. And I'm not thinking it's coming from the Broncos this week again either. Jaleel McLaughlin, though, I like him for the sole purpose of, similar to Madison last week, he had a few opportunities through the air and was able to get into the end zone with one. He's somebody that I feel comfortable in a flex position, not as a running back too, because Javonte is going to be taking some snaps away now that he's coming back, and Samaje Perine's there too as well. But I'm willing to take a shot on McLaughlin, especially on maybe third downs and even opportunities in 2-minute drill and the fast no-huddle offenses that they may have to try and run against this Chiefs defense to keep them from getting on top of them and keeping slowing them down. I don't feel confident with it with Javonte Williams, but I have it as a start. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, not happy with their productions, especially this past week. Marvin Mims, like I said, as a sleeper, just because the opportunities he may have. He's a big playability. He's been a sleeper for us in the past. It didn't hit. He's been a sleeper for us in the past before that, and it did hit. So this could be a position that it does, because number 2 wide receivers against the Chiefs have had as low as 61 yards up to 110 yards, and they have had touchdowns. If they've had Let's see. Alan Lazard, 61 and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 110. 64 and a touchdown to Jordan Addison last week. 80 to Josh Reynolds week 1. So the number 2 receivers outside of that, and maybe it's because Snead is not covering them, they have fared better. So I'm guessing Marvin Mims may be that guy out the slot or out wide as a quote-unquote number 2 guy, number 3 guy that has opportunity to score some points here. I am not playing the Denver Broncos defense. Like I said earlier, I feel confident in this Chiefs offense and the spark game for them to really start this high-powered offense that they have been in the past. And I wouldn't be surprised if you get 3 touchdowns from Pat Mahomes, touchdown to Kels, touchdown to Pacheco, possibly a touchdown to Rashee Rice, like I said. Breaking it up, I think they're going to have a great game against the Broncos. I think they also take the under on the game total, but the Chiefs cover the spread. So that's all for a Thursday night preview. Short, sweet, to the point. Again, like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you get the notification when we release our Saturday episode and any of the shorts that we like to update in terms of content, thoughts on injuries and trades as we have in the past, so you can be up to date on all the information you need to win your leagues. As always, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.